The average indoor air is 5 to 10 times dirtier than outside. At night, you're sleeping, you're not drinking water, you're not eating food.
Right.
Literally the only thing that's keeping you alive is the air. You're breathing in mold, bacteria, VOCs, bug particulate, fragrances. Type in like what chemicals are in cigarettes that are in fragrances, and there's a huge list. Like
Oh my gosh.
formaldehyde being right at the top.
The Venn diagram is probably pretty nice.
Fragrances are the new secondhand.
Yes.
You pay attention to the food you eat and the water you drink, but you have not yet thought about air. You turn your bedroom into a clean air sanctuary. Your body can heal itself if you kind of get out of the way.
Yeah, man. Welcome back to the show. Look, it took a little doing here. We got our wires all set up. We got our Jasper in the shot. That's actually always there. I feel obliged to tell people that I did not put that there as
I was actually
placement.
saying move it.
Yeah, you wanted it out of the shot, but that's where that goes, actually. So it's authentic to leave it there, even though it looks like product placement.
Oh, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming back because I know before we talked about air quality, we talked about fire remediation stuff, and I kind of want to go over a little bit of that. People can always go back to the original episode. But since you were here, there were actually major, surprise, major wildfires in California, and you went back to LA to check out the aftermath of the fires. And I'd love to talk about how bad the air is, because before we kind of talk just generally about fires and what they can do to the air, but I wonder how bad the air is after, say, Palisades, for example, and how long the air stays toxic after a fire.
So, yeah, the first episode was kind of like air quality 101.
Yeah.
So if you didn't hear the last one and you're like, what does air quality have to do with anything?
Right.
And you have no awareness of air, and maybe you pay attention to the food you eat and the water you drink, but you have not yet thought about air as a really important thing, then yeah, listen to the first episode. So California the LA wildfire was a really interesting one. The big answer is no one knows for sure, because this was unprecedented.
Like, no one knows for sure what, how long
it's going to be contaminated, what is the actual...
But it's still contaminated, I assume, yeah?
We have to go test again.
I see.
You have to test not just air. How about the soil? How about the water? People's carpets, the materials in their home. But the reason that fire is so unique, and I actually am like, the reason I also went is I'm very qualified in this type of fire because most fire restoration companies, they have experience with a kitchen fire, a house fire, things like that.
Yeah.
Not like giant regional fires where a whole city is infected.
Yeah.
Because, you see on the news, they talk about people who lost their home, but way more people have smoke damage than people who lost their home. Also, we've never had a fire before where 15,000 cars burnt down. Like,
oh, yeah.
So when a regular forest fire happens, you just have like tree smoke, and it's still a problem, but it's regular smoke. When homes and cars and stores, every can of paint, every WD-40, all the insulation, the drywall materials, just think about when you put everyone's been at a campfire and they run out of s'mores and someone puts that bag of, and you smell that toxic plastic bag on the fire, you're like, that smells like cancer.
Yeah.
Well, imagine that times 15,000 homes,
Right.
10, 20,000 cars, and thousands and thousands of those cars were Teslas and other electric vehicles.
Right.
So what happens when you burn 10,000 lithium batteries?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well, it's more than that, right? Because each Tesla has hundreds of lithium batteries that are about the size of, bigger than any battery you'd have in your house, about the size of a small flashlight.
So that's the thing that's really concerning.
Yeesh.
The wildfire smoke, we normally look at things like something called PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, a bunch of big fancy words for a lot of chemicals that are really bad for you.
Okay.
But in this case, we had homes and we had cars that burnt down. The one thing that LA has going for it is it's coastal.
Yeah.
So those winds it's like nature is the best air purifier, and being right on the coast, a lot of the winds brought everything out. Whereas like if it's in Alberta, Canada, or Utah or Colorado, socked into these valleys, things aren't flowing as much. But yeah, when I went 6 weeks after the fire, so mid-February of this year, 2025, and I tested a bunch of homes, and it was wild. The air quality, I was measuring it throughout the day. It was fluctuating dramatically throughout the day because all it takes is a little bit of wind. And then everyone thought, like, once they had their first rain, everyone's like, we're fine now. I'm like, not exactly, guys. First of all, now that's all into your water.
Yeah.
It's all in your soil. And then it dries up. It's not like those toxic materials aren't still a problem. I put a picture on my Instagram of molten aluminum rivers running down streets. Because literally, like, the aluminum blocks in cars got so hot that metal would melt and liquefy and form rivers down street.
That's crazy.
So if we know heavy metals are a problem, generally, imagine at that degree. So like 9/11, turns out it was really bad, and a lot of people got sick who were in that area. So yeah, I was getting asked the question a lot from people in LA, should we move?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you were on the fence about it already, like this would be a thing that would tip it.
Sure.
But everybody there, if you weren't filtering your air, and even if you had a lot of air filtering, but you didn't have, like, you lost power, their carpets, their furniture, their clothing, everything was really contaminated. And if you didn't do something about detoxing it, it still is. There was a lady, we went to her home because we messaged our Jasper customers and we're like, hey, we're in town, we'll come to your home, test your air. And this one lady, she asked me to check her friend who lived one floor above in an apartment. Cool thing is she had like an 800 square foot apartment, one Jasper. He was one floor above, exact same unit, no Jaspers. The air quality in his carpet was like uninhabitable, like you have to leave, completely toxic, and her place was almost perfectly normal.
Really? So this is a good, what do you call it, like almost single variable. The only difference is it's a floor higher, but otherwise the layout's the same.
Santa Monica, 2 miles from the fire.
Wow.
And we built Jasper for wildfire smoke. So for anyone who didn't listen last time, my background was in wildfire remediation, floods, hurricane cleanup. So my career was traveling around to Hurricane Harvey and California wildfires, like wherever the most toxic disasters were, that's where I would go. And the reason that I got into Jasper making these air scrubbers is because the machines that we would use on the job site were these big, large industrial machines. And when you would compare that to little air purifiers in the store, I was able to see like these little things don't work. So the vision was, let's create a product that has the effectiveness. Basically, let's make the world's first air scrubber designed for your home. So now I'm kind of on a mission to just talk about air quality. Anyone who's thinking about water and hasn't thought about air, my kind of mission for the next 20 years is to increase people's awareness of the air that you breathe.
One thing that we were talking about this at lunch, how we ended up meeting. So we were friends for years before. And then I thought, hey, I might have mold in my house. I can't remember why. Oh, right. Because I had them come and figure out something out with the HVAC because my studio had crappy circulation. So we called the HVAC guy and he goes, yeah, I added, I don't know, a return or something. So yada, yada, it works better. But he's like, by the way, you have mold in something, the tube wasn't fit correctly, something with the HVAC, okay? And he's like, there's mold in there. And I was like, oh, what should I do about that? He's like, well, I fit the tube in, but there's still mold in there. You might want to do something about that. So I emailed a mold expert, and they were like, yeah, well, you know, what you can do is I can test it, but you're still going to have mold. So here's this $30,000 mold remediation system that filters all the mold out of your HVAC forever. And I was like, damn, that's a lot. I want to sanity check that. So I emailed someone else and they were like, no, talk to this guy, Mike Feldstein, because he knows a lot. And I was like, I know that guy. So I emailed you because you had just spammed me with something for Jasper like the week prior. And I was like, not only are we friends, I got the air filter thing. And you were like, hey, dude, this is what stayed with me since our last episode. You were like, no matter how clean your HVAC is, it kind of doesn't matter because if it's on your couch or your carpet or somewhere else in the house, you can blow in clean air from outside. But if you have dirty air in your house, you have dirty air in your house. Something has to clean the air in the house. There's no point in getting a $30,000, maybe for me anyway, no point in getting a $30,000 mold thing for your HVAC when you might have mold in your carpet or your couch or some other thing. Just it's kind of like at the end point.
Yes.
Get something that cleans it.
Kind of like water. You can have the cleanest pipes ever.
Yeah.
And still have horrible city water.
Yes.
So with water, you could put a filter on your shower. You could put it on your sink. You could put it on the fridge. You could put a whole home water filter system in. But basically, it doesn't matter what's happening upstream.
Right.
You need that clean water as close to the point of consumption. And air is the exact same.
Yes. So my point with the mold was that the industry for mold is kind of like fear-based and possibly scammy. And I wanted to, I was so relieved when I didn't need to buy a $20,000 system to get rid of this mold that was in my HVAC unit. And I bought Jasper's instead, and they're doing a better job. Because even the thing that guy said it couldn't do, which is clean the air that's already in the house.
It just worked out with that timing.
Yeah.
So I remember we were new at the time. We were in business for like a couple years. And I was like, hey, none of my old like high school friends or anybody knows what I did.
Yeah.
So I pulled together all the emails of like everyone's email I ever had,
right,
from Gmail and from Facebook. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. You're like, you got my email.
Right.
And then I sent you a Jasper, and within a couple weeks, you had like a crazy story with like a fire in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's right.
And that's when you were like, you were like, yo,
Yes.
this is no joke.
Yeah, I gave you a testimonial by accident, I think, because I thought, oh, this is pretty cool how it has an air quality meter on it. Because I bought a separate air quality meter because we were getting fires and I wanted an air quality meter outside to see what the air was like outside of my neighborhood. And I checked it in this app, this Purple app or whatever.
Yeah, Purple Air.
And it would be clean, and then there'd be a fire, and it'd be orange, it'd be like 68, so not super clean or whatever it was. And then I noticed that the Jasper has it right on the display, and none of our other air purifiers actually had that, so I thought that was kind of interesting. And then one day, the Jasper went crazy while I was sitting here doing work, and I was like, I better tell Mike that this thing is just defective and randomly going crazy. And it kept going and going, and I was getting up to go unplug it when I heard fire engine sounds. And then I went out the front door because I heard the fire engine sounds really loud. And a block and a half away, there was a house fire that I couldn't smell at all. But the Jasper had picked up early, and had been furiously scrubbing the air. And of course, as soon as I went outside, I was like, boom, because it just smelled like burning roof tar. And the fire engine had come. And I got in my car and drove around. I mean, it was a massive, massive house fire. And I thought that was really interesting because the Jasper had been going for like 10 minutes. So basically that fire started and seconds, maybe minutes later at most, the Jasper started cleaning the air. I smelled nothing until I went outside and then I smelled it. And so this thing it's got a pretty sensitive sniffer on it.
It's like with, why do we have carbon monoxide detectors and carbon dioxide detectors? Like we're decent at smelling things, but we're not that good.
Right.
So there's a lot of these situations where we like to say Jasper's nose knows before your nose knows. So this type of stuff happens all the time. And really, no matter what, the way homes are built now, that's like what I was telling you last time is homes just aren't designed well for humans to live inside of them. At its core, there's a builder, maybe an architect and a developer. It's like, how fast can we build this home? How cheap? Like, make a nice master bathroom and a pretty kitchen and people buy it. You get a home inspection, $700-800. It literally says, so I became a home inspector. By the way, it was like a 4-day online course.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's how and so to become a certified mold man, it's a 2-day course with a very long lunch break. And to become a home inspector was a 4-day online course.
That explains why they come over high when they do their job. We had a couple stoned home inspectors. We had to rotate and make sure they were actually doing their job. That's funny.
So people are making the biggest investment of their entire life and Googling a trusted home inspector who comes over, and on that contract that they give you, it basically says this is not looking for anything environmental. So mold, asbestos, lead, bacteria. Basically, they're looking for like a plug that doesn't work or a crack in your foundation. Silly things like that. They're like, hey, your GFCI outlet is like, you're like, that's a $200 electrical fix, but it's like, you might have a mold infestation and they won't mention it at all. They don't know anything about mold. They're not trained on mold. The same way doctors aren't really trained on nutrition. The HVAC industry and home builders and home inspectors aren't trained about mold, which is like the purpose of the home is to safely house a family.
Right.
And then there's this stuff that a lot of homes have in it that's killing people, and you're making your biggest investment of your life where your family's also going to live in and no one's actually checking for it. So I think
that's scary.
There's a huge opportunity now and some home inspectors are getting into it. But like, also, if you're ever going to buy a home and you go into it and you smell air fresheners, unplug them, first of all, and you must demand another inspection. Because it's the oldest trick in the book. When people are selling moldy homes, they put air fresheners everywhere. So you come in, and how do air fresheners work? They hijack your ability to smell. So fragrances, scents, think Christmas tree in the Uber, Glade plugins, all that kind of stuff, Febreze. Those products are not designed they don't clean, they don't disinfect. All they do is they hijack your nose's ability to actually smell things.
This is kind of like, do you know how Febreze works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know this. I thought Febreze... this episode is clearly not sponsored by them. You'll hear why in a second. I thought Febreze killed the bacteria or whatever that was making the smell because I was like, how does this work? Turns out what it does is it basically limits your nose's ability to smell things. So it's like, wait. So this thing still reeks. It's just that all of our noses inhale this thing first. It's like Novocaine for your sense of smell. So basically you sniff that and then you can't smell the fact that it smells like absolute crap and has BO all over it or whatever else stench.
It's a big
so gross.
deal.
Yeah.
It's kind of like natural flavors in food. They feed you a bunch of garbage. They pour some chemicals in. They don't make it taste good. They just stop your ability to smell taste the nasty stuff.
That's so gross.
And then they hammer you with some chemicals that give you some addictive sensations. But the fragrances, like I'm on a war against synthetic fragrances. I am screaming from the rooftops that synthetic fragrances are the new secondhand smoke.
I want to hear more about that. Well, let me back up a little bit because I actually, before this thought flies away from me, I gifted a Jasper to a couple of friends because they had a mold problem. And what they did is they went to the doctor and the doctor was like, oh, maybe you have mold exposure. They did a bunch of testing in their house and then they were like, dude, I got to gut my entire wall and pay 80 grand or whatever it was, like some crazy, crazy amount of money to remediate this mold. And I told him to get look, you don't want mold in your house, but you're going to tear down your whole house. It just seemed a little bit unnecessary. And I remember talking to you casually about this. Can you know what I'm talking about?
I'm very glad you brought that up. So in the mold industry, they have two sayings. One is the mold rush and the other one is mold is gold.
I remember this. Yeah.
So it's a big, big problem, man, because people now are going to the functional medicine doctor or the naturopath or whatever it is. And they're sick and they've been sick and they don't know why. They don't know what's making them feel weird. They got brain fog, they have fatigue, they have gut issues. They go, functional medicine doc gives them a bunch of urine and blood testing, and they say, you got the mold. And then they say, test your house too. You got the mold. Well, basically, everybody has mold and everybody's house has mold. So it's like heavy metals, it's like microplastics. It's not a black and white thing. How much mold? What species of mold? But these the functional medicine doctors are literally trained in 1 or 2 days also. They're like, I'm getting thousands of calls about mold toxicity. Let me take a quick 2-hour webinar. And become a certified mold expert myself. Then they learn, and who teaches the testing? It's usually the companies that do the urine and blood testing.
I see. Okay.
So they're the ones who sell the diagnostics to the functional medicine docs. So they go, you got the mold. They check your house. You got the mold. If we go outside and run a test, there's mold everywhere. Mold is just in the air.
See, that was my question all these people that are really sick with certain types of mold, I'm not doubting that these people are getting sick from mold, but they can't be getting sick from the amount of mold you would get playing in your backyard, unless they have a serious allergy, like a medical issue with it, but specifically for that. But like if you go outside and you don't get sick every single time you do, you obviously can tolerate some level of mold.
So it's like pollen and it's kind of like another allergen. Indoors, it's a bigger problem because you've trapped the mold inside.
Right.
So the best air filter in the world is nature. Sun, wind, trees, rain. Homes since the 70s, since the energy crisis, they've built homes so tight with the primary goal being energy efficiency that they've turned your home into like a Tupperware box, a little Tupperware container. So
I should leave this big back slider open? Is that what you're saying?
Depending how fresh air is good.
Birds in here.
California, you have pretty beautiful weather. So this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
But if not, and most HVAC systems aren't designed to have fresh air intakes. So the problem is, you don't get typically mold on the bread until you put it in the Tupperware and you choke it in there. So the reason that people are having these issues inside their home is you have no sun, you have no wind, you have no rain, there's no filtration. It's trapped inside. Your home can't breathe. The HVAC is the lungs of your home. And if your home can't breathe, the people inside it can't breathe. And then, a lot of people get triggered by mold, but it's become a very fear-induced industry because basically, I did mold remediation for years.
Yeah.
If you ask a company to come and renovate your bathroom, the demolition process to gut it is going to be like $1,000. If there's a little bit of mold, it's like 10,000 now. The only difference is you put up a piece of poly, basically about an hour of prep, $100 of material, and antimicrobial spray. So the cost for the mold remediation company is negligible. There's almost no difference. So if you are a contractor doing demolition charging $1,000, you're like, wait a second. And also, most bathrooms had mold anyway. They're like, we were already ripping out bathrooms with mold. You mean we can kind of make a bit more of a show out of it and 10x the price. This was a very attractive opportunity for a lot of contractors.
I guarantee you my bathroom has mold, dude, where there's I don't even know if there's any point to having this in the show, but I'm going to say it anyway. So our bathtub has one of those shower heads that you can like pull out and then you can spray. It's in the bathtub. And I pulled it up one time. I never use it. I pulled it up one time and sawdust fell off of it. And I was like, what? So I shined a flashlight down there. Honestly, this thing that drips water constantly because it's a shower head, it goes into this little holster, and inside there is just the guts of the house. Like, it's just wooden beams, the crawl space. It's just a hole in that the shower rests in. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's not like a plastic thing in there. There's not some sort of receptacle. Nope. It just goes into the bottom of the house next to the bathtub. So there's a cavity there that just probably has like mold in it. I don't see how it could not have mold in it at this point. And earwigs, shitload of earwigs.
What'd you do about the earwigs?
Nothing. I kill them every day. I kill these earwigs. Yeah.
Well, the main thing here is there is a dark side of the mold industry. Not everybody's a bad actor, but you have to be quite careful when you're navigating it because you feel the sense of relief when you get a blood test and you're like, hey, wait, this is the cause of my sickness.
Right.
So you're upset about the cost and you're annoyed, but you're like, finally.
I have an explanation for my,
Have you noticed no one talks about Lyme disease anymore?
Yeah.
Mold is the new Lyme.
The mold is the new Lyme disease. Yeah, you're right. That was trendy for a while.
It's mold now.
Trending.
So it's crazy. Like if you look at the Google search volume of Lyme disease versus mold toxicity, it's like swapped.
That's interesting. You're right. People are always kind of looking for
it's that thing of like, I don't feel good and I just need like a blank. It's like fibromyalgia. You kind of, a lot of people, there's these things that come that's like, this is this thing that can't exactly be diagnosed that explains why I'm sick. But the sad thing is mold actually makes some people very sick.
For sure. Yeah.
People just have a really hard time deciphering what's true and what's not true. But basically what I want to get across is like, unfortunately, you have to do a little bit of your own homework and a little bit of your own digging, but it's not black and white. Just because you have a little bit of mold spores in your air and in your blood, like everybody does. If you test 10 people who feel great, everybody has mold in their blood and their urine. So don't think it's like a black and white thing.
I see. So if I went to the doctor and I said, I don't feel good, and they tested for mold in my blood and urine, it would show up.
Yeah.
But if I went in there and said, I feel great, can you test me for blood and or can you test my blood and urine for mold? They would find it in there anyway.
It's always there.
So it's like, okay, so this is one of those things where when you feel bad, you find that and you go, this has to be it. But then somebody else who feels totally fine goes in there and they have the exact same or higher level of mold and it's just not doing anything.
Yes.
Interesting.
And it's like heavy metals. Of course, unless you live in like the Amazon rainforest, you have microplastics, you have heavy metals.
So this'll interest you, I suppose. I went to Taiwan. We did this like CEO health check where it's like, I'll say ridiculously cheap, relatively speaking, for like an MRI and a CT scan, and they get through every organ on your body and every system, and they scan your brain for like possible places where you're going to have an aneurysm. Like they just really go all in, and they find stuff that's like stage 0 cancer, where they go, if this is still here next year, you take this medicine and it'll go away, basically. And then like if it grows, you might have something, but if not, and like I was like, oh my God, I have nodules in my thyroid, and she was like, let me calm you down. I see everyone has these. Everybody. Nodules in your lungs, you have lived on Earth for 45 years. You have 2 nodules in your lungs. They're tiny. It is nothing. It's like a grain of sand. She's like, the problem is if it's the size of 10 grains of sand in 2 years when you come back, then it's a problem because then it's growing. But she's like, everybody has something like this. And I was like, oh my God, my spine's degenerating. She's like, yeah, and it's going to get worse. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, it's called aging. It's called using your phone. It's called standing up. It's called sitting in a chair. So all these things. But one thing they did test for was heavy metal. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have super high off the charts heavy metals, mercury, namely. And then I came back and I went to Kaiser and I was like, I need another check because this test could be spurious. I need to find out if I have all these heavy metals. I took another test and then Kaiser was like, we're going to do another test just to make sure. I was like, okay, so I've had 3 tests, all high in heavy metal. They're like, you need to call with toxicology. I call the toxicologist and he goes, yeah, do you ever eat sushi? I go, yeah. He goes, how much? I'm like, I don't know, once or twice a week. And he's like, okay, any other fish? I was like, I don't know, salmon. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about this. And I was like, but my mercury levels. And he's like, yeah, why'd you test for mercury? I said, oh, it was part of this big blood work package. He goes, yeah, I think if you picked 99 out of 100 people in your neighborhood or any neighborhood anywhere in California, you'd all have high mercury levels. He goes, you know what? I tested myself. I have high mercury. It doesn't matter. Everybody who eats fish or lives in a modern economy, like you said, doesn't live in the Amazon rainforest, has high mercury levels. He's like, and I said, well, why is the test showing red? He goes, this is a problem if you don't eat fish because then you have mercury in your house. But if you're eating fish, this is a perfectly normal level of mercury to have in your blood. And
So I appreciate that nuance,
concerning,
because they could have sold you on a very extensive mercury detox protocol.
There was a guy who was like, you should do chelation, right? And the toxicologist was like, that is the chelation process, which is removing heavy metals from the body. He's like, is so much more harmful for you than just dealing with this baseline level of mercury, because chelation is like, it's oversimplified, chemotherapy for getting rid of heavy metals. Like you're taking all these other metals and other minerals out of your body.
Yeah, you're like, they're like, you have too much of this thing. Here's 26 supplements to take and 17 drops, and you're like taking them. They're like, you might feel worse for a while. I'm like, this just doesn't feel right.
No, yeah, exactly. This is like cutting off your nose to bite your face. It's really, so he basically was like, no need to go nuclear on it. The reason this relates to what you were saying is the fact that you're testing for mercury. Oh my God, you have high mercury. Okay, do you have any symptoms? No. Okay, then go home. Yes. That was his moral of the story. So the mold is very similar from the sound of it.
So it's exactly. It's like, check your body for bacteria.
Yeah.
It's like you're like half bacteria.
You're infested.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's all these little creatures living inside you.
Right.
So at the end of the day, though, it's not to say mold can never be an issue, but unfortunately, because of the fragrances and things like that, we've lost our ability to smell. So, I tested probably 1,000 homes for mold, and anyone I know who would test and do remediation, within 5 seconds of walking in someone's home if they have mold or not.
Just because you can smell it.
Because you smell it and you feel it. It's a little more difficult to breathe. It smells musty. It smells damp. It's like if you walk into a baby's nursery, it smells like poo. You don't need a poo tester or a airborne bacteria analysis.
Right.
Unfortunately, we've gone to this like quantifiable metrics data testing thing, and we've all lost the ability to just trust how we feel and trust our sense of smell. And that's what this comes down to. So if it smells musty and there's a black patch growing on the wall, or there's water damage, like check your attic, check under bathrooms and sinks, and look for like bubbling drywall. Like the visual inspection and the smell is by far the best inspection of all. That's why the best mold inspector is the mold dog.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, there's a few people who have like mold canines. That's the best by far, because they're gonna smell and they're gonna go find the source of it.
Amazing.
But just to test your air, and then they start basically just ripping out walls and stuff.
Yes.
That is similar to like being like, your levels of whatever are high. Let's just do some investigative surgery.
Take some injectable whatevers.
Let's just cut some holes in you and check inside. You're like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
So people often go into debt of hundreds of thousands of dollars, rip their homes apart, move into apartments or homes that were moldier than their first home, and debt and stress, and then they get much more sick. So I've been seeing this increasing at a large scale. And that's why, as a mold remediation guy, how would we do mold removal? We'd remove the physical mold and we would scrub the air. It's very simple. Like, so the Jasper was very similar. It's basically the same machine that we would use to scrub the air from the mold. So like, I don't think you need to test your tap water. Just get a water filter.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. It's funny, this exact same thing happened. I thought we need to test the water in San Jose because I'm from Michigan. We have clean water. And there was a guy who was next door, who's a doctor, and he was just like, why don't you just get a reverse osmosis filter and then your water's clean? And I was like, this guy, you're onto something, right? Either test the water and hope that the quality stays consistent and periodically test it every month, or just get a machine
city
that
water
cleans
is
everything
not
out.
good.
Yeah.
If you have well water, you have bacteria problems. If you have city water, you're going to have a lot of chlorine and potentially way too much fluoride. Because think about it, they're taking like rainwater and other people's sewer water, and they're disinfecting that water so it doesn't kill you. So like what more do like people are like mad at the city's trying to make us sick. I don't think so.
No.
They're trying to make it so the bacteria doesn't kill you immediately,
right.
And then you have to filter that drinking water.
Yeah.
And with air, there's no intermediary. So the rubber from the tires, the chemicals, the restaurants, the forest fire, the glyphosate, the chemicals people are using in their bounce sheets, all the toxic things in the world come into your home. So I think we're going to look back in 10 years from now. 25 years ago, dentists didn't use masks or gloves.
I remember that. Yeah.
As a kid, you would just drink straight from the hose, and you would just drink tap water.
Yeah, that yummy metal copper, whatever, penny taste.
And then we all learned, you're like, oh, you need to filter your water. And then we're like, oh, microplastics. And then once you realize it, when you get the plastic bottle, you taste the plastic.
Yeah. It's
like if you just trust yourself. So I think we're going to look back at now. And in Asia, like I remember going to Kuala Lumpur and other parts of Asia where like I went to a bank and every single teller had an air filter in each little room. Like, and when I'd go to the mall and they'd have air purifier stores. So their air awareness is way more ahead.
Why do you think that is? Is that a dirty city with a lot of air pollution?
I think the pollution historically was worse, which increased their air awareness. They're like, we're getting sick. I put this machine in my room and I'm breathing better and I'm sleeping better and I'm feeling better. It's like, why do we filter our water now? Because we realized that it was dirty.
Yeah. Taxi drivers in Beijing and Shanghai, they'll have this little tiny box that's like this big. It's like the size of your, a fat wallet. And I'm like, what is this? And they're like, it's an air purifier. It's an air purifier. And I'm like, I don't know how to be, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but this $9.99 Temu air purifier that you've had in here for a decade is not cleaning all the air in this car with the doors opening every 5 minutes. Like it's not doing anything. And they're smoking, right? They smoke their cigarette and they blow it out the window. And they're like, don't worry, I got an air filter. And it's like, oh, China, never change.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a Skeptical Sunday episode we did about expiration dates for food. And one of the subject matter experts, he was just like a food expert of some kind, I can't remember. And he had said, I said, like, what about this and the dates for this? What about meat? It's dangerous. And he goes, you know what? If you smell meat and it smells really bad, don't eat it. And if you smell meat and it smells fine, it's almost certainly fine, even if it's expired by a week or two. And I was like, but why the date? And that was what the whole episode was about. But basically, to your earlier point, your nose is really good at telling you whether something is safe to eat or breathe or not, because that's literally the whole point.
But all of these things, like tracking your sleep, which got an O-ring over there. So, if you track your sleep and you track your steps, not that you shouldn't, there's a lot of good data that you can get from that stuff. The downside can be, though, is going off the expiry date. You can go down a path of not trusting yourself.
Yeah.
To be like, do I feel like I need to walk? Like, did I move enough today?
Yeah.
No, let me check my phone. Yep, we're good.
You get obsessed with that. I think I've mentioned on the show before that there were fires outside, so I couldn't go outside, and I wanted to get 10,000 steps. I walked around my kitchen island like 1,000 times. Maybe literally, because I wanted 10,000 steps, and it was smaller than this kitchen island. I went around that thing. It took like 3.5 hours of me just walking. My mom was like, are you okay? Because I looked mentally ill, right? I was just walking around the kitchen island over and over and over until I had knee pain and 10,000 steps. It was and I've sat down and went, why did I do that? How important was it to get those 10,000 steps? I think I'm focusing on the metrics a little too hard. Before we forget, I want to go back to something you said earlier, which was that some of these artificial smells are kind of I can't remember how you phrased it, kind of the new smoking.
Synthetic, like fragrances are the new secondhand smoke.
Yes, because whenever I get in an Uber, if they have those rock chunk things that they keep in the little can that smell terrible, like fake cherry, I tell the driver, I have to cancel. I go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic to these. I don't know if I'm really allergic, but I will get a slamming migraine if I'm in that for an hour, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to prove it.
Christmas tree of death.
Yeah, or if there's one Christmas tree, I'm probably okay. If there's 8, why are you using that many? If it's expired, throw it away. Or do you just want 8 times the scent? That to me is like, I can't deal with that. It makes me want to vomit. It makes me car sick. So it doesn't surprise me at all that these are bad for you. But I love data because I'm going off of, I feel like these are.
Which is actually what you should do.
Yeah, I suppose what we should do. Yeah. Another thing, Glade plugins, disgusting.
It's the same as the Febreze stuff.
Yeah.
And it's heavily correlated to what we were saying before about the mold, because oftentimes the reason that people are desensitized to the mold, also the molds that are really bad for you smell the worst. What a surprise.
Yeah, shocker.
Like the ones that make you sick, you smell and you feel crappy. So because of all this synthetic fragrances, whether it's perfume, cologne, I can smell Speed Stick or Old Spice like across the house.
Yeah, like bad deodorant is horrifying.
And so this is really cool. So when cigarette smoking was very normal and you could do it everywhere, if you would tell someone to stop smoking, you were just like a bitch. You were an asshole.
Yeah, you're the jerk who's running everybody's phone.
It was your preference. Like, hey, stop smoking.
Right.
And, asshole, like you were just this annoying person.
Right.
Then we learned about this little thing called secondhand smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Secondhand smoke was one of the greatest marketing campaigns, like positive marketing campaigns of all time, because it took it from you're giving my kid cancer. So telling someone not to smoke was like you invading on their fun.
Mm-hmm.
But when you realize that the secondhand smoke was just as cancer causing and making you just as sick as the person who was smoking it, that angered you, that galvanized you, that gave you permission to be pissed because now they were impacting you. Kind of like the COVID stuff. It's like, you're making me sick.
Right.
So when someone else's choice is impacting you, then that gets people kind of fiery, and that's how you get emission and get things moving. So if when you realize, then the reason I call it fragrances are the secondhand smoke is because you're not the one who put that fragrance in the Uber,
right.
in the Airbnb, in the hotel room, when you walked in the mall. They're everywhere now. And synthetic fragrances, it's like natural flavors in food. It's like thousands of chemicals. So if you look, like anyone could Google it, type in like what chemicals are in cigarettes that are in fragrances, and there's a huge list. Like,
oh my gosh.
Formaldehyde being right at the top, and benzene.
We should ChatGPT this. It's probably like the Venn diagram is probably a pretty nice.
It's very similar. Like, so formaldehyde, benzene would be two of the really big ones, but there's a lot more. So the same stuff is put in the fragrances that's put in the cigarette. I'm actually writing a blog post right now on this, and the AI image that I got generated was a guy smoking a Glade plug-in. Because that's really what's happening.
Yeah, that's gross.
And what happens is, so there's good news and bad news here. And I always tell people, I'm like, there is the only bad thing that happens if you put a Jasper in your home or in your bedroom is you will become an air snob. And they're like, I want to become an air snob.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. So all of a sudden you're going to go to like friends' homes and families' homes, like, your home stinks and you didn't notice it before.
It's a great way to make friends.
Also,
wow, your home smells like shit. Thanks for having us.
Things will bother you, You're going to be asking people to open windows and doors all the time. It's an air problem.
It's December in Michigan. We're not opening the doors, Jordan. Yeah, that's
so
horrifying.
Your olfactory system is a fancy way of saying like your smelling system.
Yeah.
So get this. When you smell something delicious, you start salivating.
Sure.
So I learned this from Dr. Satya Patel. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's great. He helps people lose a lot of weight and change their whole health and everything. And a lot of it is by how you eat. So he's like, never eat unless you're salivating. The idea is like that the salivation is a very normal part of the process. That's what happens when you smell the food, and then the saliva tells your gut, like, yo, this is what food's coming.
I see.
Some steak, some broccoli, start preparing the enzymes to break down and absorb the nutrients of whatever's coming. So I've heard the stats vary, but 50% roughly of the enzymes that get created in your gut are from your olfactory system, from your ability to smell. So if you've been smelling fragrances, whether that's from the speed stick or the cologne or the perfume or the Christmas
I'm
tree.
getting ready to digest some ban or whatever the hell this stuff's called.
Your body doesn't know food's coming.
Oh, because it's masking all that.
It's masked. So all of a sudden, your ability to absorb nutrients is completely blunted.
Yeah.
Your ability to absorb the nutrients and process it all. So it's huge. It impacts your weight and it impacts your nutrients. So what happens is, and that's why I actually started to like smell my food more closely. Like when you take your food, it's amazing. Put the food to your nose and take a few deep breaths through your nose. If there's a few different things on the plate, smell each thing slowly. All of a sudden, you'll feel like a rush of saliva gets created.
This is such a funny thing to do in front of other people. But yeah, I'm following.
I mean, people pray anyway. Like, what is prayer? Like, have a moment of gratitude, add a little smell.
Give it a little sniff.
Like,
okay.
Try it once. Like, smell your food and you'll feel just a rush of saliva get created. It's like, whoa. So your olfactory system regenerates every 30 to 60 days. So
what does that mean?
Basically, the neurons in your nose that are blunted from all the fragrances in your modern life, when you stop using synthetic products and you start filtering the air at home, your nose basically, your ability to smell in 30 to 60 days is completely regenerated.
That's interesting.
So now all of a sudden, you can smell food. You start salivating more. I find I eat way less. And the air snob thing is not just a placebo because system is much clearer and your neurons are replaced from all those fragrances and the Febreze effect that was blunting it, because it doesn't just stunt it in the moment.
That was my next question.
There's a residual effect.
So it permanently damages, can permanently damage those?
Up to 2 months.
I did not know that. That's crazy. I just figured all this was really poorly understood. I didn't think people actually...
But it's amazing. So there's a brand that I love called Primally Pure. They use like tallow and other products, and this stuff smells great. They make really good deodorants and other products. They have a regenerative farm in Temecula. So they make all their own products. When you start using like a better, cleaner deodorant for a couple weeks, all of a sudden those speed sticks are like repulsive.
Yeah, they're gross. I mean, I've always thought they were gross. I have a really sensitive sniffer. I could never stand that stuff. Even I think we were talking in the car, really expensive, French perfume or cologne. I can smell it and I can go, this is good stuff. And if it's cheap or deodorant or whatever, I can smell that it's cheap. And I think it's probably just the chemicals they use. And if cologne or perfume has gone bad, I can smell that. Most people don't know that stuff goes bad. You can tell a 3-year-old bottle of cologne or perfume from a fresh one. And it's because the chemistry changes. And so my friend, a girl that I dated when I was in New York a million years ago, her job was, she was like a French nose, right? So she smelled different perfumes and ingredients and designed the fragrances. And she told me that I was the only other person that she knew who wasn't working with her that could smell all these different things. So this is not a blessing. It's not a humble brag, because mostly I'm just smelling really disgusting things, or, comes in handy on the subway, right? It's an enhanced sense of smell. But really cheap fragrances, they give me a headache. They almost taste bad, if I can phrase it that way, and they like burn my throat or my nose, give me a headache.
That lemon Glade thing, there's no lemons in there.
There's no lemons in there, right?
It's funny
exactly.
How, like, the word chemicals is bad. Natural flavors was a really nice word for chemicals, and fragrances too. So I'm here to make you realize when you're saying fragrances, you're typically just saying chemicals.
Chemicals, yeah. Well, everything is a chemical, so there's the other side of that. But
yes,
basically,
fair.
Good air should basically smell like nothing, right?
Like nothing.
Yeah.
Or like nature, like cedar, like pine, like what outside smells like. Close to nothing.
Right, close to nothing. Yeah, exactly. So no essential oil diffusers.
There are good oils.
Are there?
Yeah.
Because I would think oil in the air is bad generally.
I mean, I'd rather do it outside or open my windows or scrubbing my air.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you can get away with a little bit more.
Interesting. Yeah, clean air for me is just, it's become more and more important as time goes on, just because I'm in that room in my office, in my studio all day. And I've got electronics in there. I don't know what that does. I used to be in a room with a monitor that I think generated a lot of ozone, because you could smell it. And it would make me like, I didn't love that. I didn't love being in there all day with that. And so having fresh airflow and things like that. But part of that could have been CO2. And I'm wondering about CO2 levels, because I feel like when I'm in that closed room for a while, a couple hours, let's say I do a 3-hour podcast in my studio, I start to feel tired. And I'll turn the fan on because I think I'm hot. And then eventually that sort of circulates air.
Do you have a CO2 monitor?
Feel better for no.
I'm going to leave you one.
Yeah, please, because I bet you I'm just breathing all the oxygen out of it.
I'm going to leave you one. I got one here. I take one everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I bring them on planes. I bring them on everywhere I go.
So that room is soundproof, which means that air does not go in and out under the door. It does not go through the return unless the HVAC is on, which it never is because it's California. I almost never need it. And so unless it's hot as balls or somehow cold, the HVAC is off. And if I'm in there for 3 hours, man, it's kind of like, it's yawn city. And I used to just think, I need more caffeine, or I'm tired from talking. But I'll be in there doing emails and it's like, nope, it's 10 a.m. and I'm already like beat. And I come in here, do a lap around the living room, and I'm a new man. And so I'm convinced it's something with the CO2.
And you can get a very, very quiet vent that will just vent directly outside, and then it will just pull air in from the rest of your home, and that will make a big difference. So we'll give you a CO2 sensor.
Yeah, thanks.
And you can track it.
I'm so curious now because I was doing a little bit of a talk with my friend who's like a breathwork person, and it's just ironic to me that we're obsessed with like breath work and yoga, and then like the air you breathe outside of that 20-minute burst, screw it, whatever.
And a lot of people are doing breath work in moldy rooms with high CO2.
With a Glade plug-in masking the scent. Exactly. So I know that air quality, that CO2 has got to mess with your
That's why everybody sleeps on planes. You're like,
I always fall asleep on planes, yes.
So CO2, is typically 1,800. So outdoor CO2 is like a little over 400. Indoor, 600 to 800 is normal. At 1,000, the brain fog starts kicking in. Planes are typically 1,800 to 2,200. By the way, planes have some of the cleanest air of anywhere.
Because they cycle it in and out.
If filtration wasn't amazing, everyone would get sick every time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So very clean, like scrubbed air, but very high carbon dioxide.
Is that just because of it's so
they're not bringing in much fresh air, energy efficiency?
Well, how are they filtering the air, cycling the air if they're not bringing in the air? I'm curious.
I mean, they're able to recycle it to be as energy efficient as possible.
So
if they were breathing in more and more cold air, the heating costs would be pretty high.
Oh, so they're not bringing in outside air in a plane. They're just scrubbing the interior air of the plane. I did not know that. That's kind of gross. That's something I could have
But the CO2 is high, and that makes you really tired. So if anyone's in whether you're in an elevator or a classroom or an office, or if you're at a house party and you're just like, I just need to go outside and get a breath of fresh air. Pay attention to if you're in an indoor space with a bunch of people, and then when you go outside and take that first breath, you're like,
yeah.
And I wish I could tell you Jasper will solve this. It will not.
Yeah, that's
you need fresh air. It needs to vent out. And I think like with all the climate stuff, the thing that they should really be pointing their finger at is the carbon dioxide's going up. Because like it used to be 150 a few hundred years ago. It's going up by 2 or 3 a year. When they call it like carbon gases, it's so unrelatable. But if you put anybody in like a closet with 5 people and they made it feel stuffy, you're like on this path in 50 years, outside is going to feel like that recording studio in terms of stuff. You're like, now that is a scary thing that makes me want to take action.
That's scary because it means, I mean, my brain just doesn't work as good in that condition.
Nothing works like that.
So we're all going to have CO2 brain fog.
I don't know how fast we can evolve, but probably not that fast.
Oof, yeah, probably not that fast. What about sleep? I noticed that when I sleep with a window open, I just sleep better. And I don't think it's white noise. I think it's got to be the air.
So yeah, that's why the ingredients of a good sleep, usually a comfortable bed, good pillow, hopefully non-toxic linens, clean air, cool air, and quiet. And if any one of those things is off, you're going to have a bad sleep. Like your sleep quality is only as good as the weakest link. So you could have the most comfortable bed in the world, but if it's really hot or really loud, or the air is really dry or really humid, clean air is a huge deal though. I always tell people, like if you're buying one Jasper, put it in your bedroom, fan speed 3 and dark mode. You can get the air about 30 times cleaner in the bedroom. So fresh air is good with a window, especially if the CO2 is high, but scrubbing the air is like essential. So we did a study with 150 people using Oura rings last year. So we gave 150 people Jaspers in exchange for 1 month of sleep data. The average person slept 25 minutes more per night, 18% more deep sleep. HRV scores went up a little bit, and people fell asleep 5 minutes faster. Because think about it. Right now, if we test, the average indoor air is 5 to 10 times dirtier than outside. So if you think about it, at night, you're sleeping, you're not drinking water, you're not eating food. Right. Literally the only thing that's keeping you alive is the air. When you test the average air inside, you're breathing in mold, bacteria, VOCs, bug particulate, fragrances, all the, the paint fumes, everything.
Yeah.
So your body is somewhat playing defense. It's dealing with all that stuff. When you turn your bedroom into a clean air sanctuary, your body can heal itself if you kind of get out of the way.
I see.
So
what about babies and kids? Are they more susceptible to dirty air than adults, or is it kind of the same?
Well, average adult, so you eat 3 pounds of food a day, 2 or 3 liters of water, and you breathe 17,000 liters of air. Wow. Adults breathe about 15 to 20,000 times a day. Young toddlers breathe about 60,000 times a day, and newborns can breathe 100,000 times a day. So their respiratory rate's much higher. So they're breathing more, their lungs are smaller, their immune system is less refined. So that would probably be the case there.
Yeah, I was curious. I always gift people an air filter, usually get them a Jasper when they're having a kid. One thing I've noticed that's kind of, I don't know, ironic is people will have a baby, right? And so one of the first things they do is they go, we just repainted the nursery. And I'm like, that's a nice thought, but now you've got this latex paint off-gassing in the room, and they go, don't worry, the baby's a month out, and I'm like, still, and then it's like, okay, well, but then you put all the baby blankets and the pillow and the stuffed animals and the crib that you assembled is all in there, getting all of that stuff stuck to it or whatever.
And the diaper pail.
And the diaper pail? Okay, I hadn't thought about that.
I'm on a war against diaper pails, and I got a new baby at home right now.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. Anybody who is having a baby soon or is going to have another baby, I would recommend 5-6 months. I know you like to wait till the end, but as early as you can, if you want to paint and do all that stuff, do it as early as you can. If you can, don't get a used bed, but if you can get a crib secondhand, that would be a good idea because it's already off-gassed.
I see.
And then
What's off-gassing? I probably should have explained that.
So off-gassing is, think about that new car smell,
Right.
new home smell. You bring in that bed, you get that whiff of formaldehyde that stays for a while.
Yeah.
Off-gassing smell is basically formaldehyde.
Yeah, okay.
And it could take a year for something to off-gas. And when things are manufactured in a factory, as soon as it's assembled, they wrap it up
wrap it
tight,
in plastic.
they ship it up,
Yeah.
and then you open it in your home and bam. So little baby just got born in a hospital. By the way, I mean, I've been saying this a lot and it's been a lot lately, but if we're local in Austin, so if anyone is having a baby in a hospital or a home birth in Austin, we will bring a Jasper to the hospital to your birthing suite for free, and you get to take it home. That's a gift. That's Jasper's gift.
That's pretty cool.
To the next generation. Well, I believe that it's the adult's responsibility to give their kids clean air, and part of the mission at Jasper is if the parents aren't going to do it, we'll do it for you. So, and that way that kid's going to be breathing clean air. So if you're in Austin, that is a little perk that we offer.
Yeah, so give birth.
But those diaper
clean
pails,
air.
man, if it smells like shit, it is shit. And if it's shit, it's bacteria. So put the diaper pail outside of the baby's room and then empty it. If you're going to use it, empty it every single day. Because just if you do not, and if you still disagree, then I have a little challenge for you.
Put it in your bedroom.
Put it in your bedroom. One night. Exactly. One night. See what it feels like to have dirty diapers in your bedroom. And if you can't tolerate it, it's funny. Like, people love their babies and you do anything for your babies, and then you literally put them 6 feet away from a poop canister.
Yeah.
And I like that as an example because it's like, it just shows how much things are just a lack of awareness.
Yeah.
All you have to do is be told that once, and no one argues that. Everyone's like, oh shit, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, that is gross. How do people take advantage of the free Jasper
They just
for
message us.
giving birth?
Go to our website, contact us.
Okay.
Tell us a week or a month or however much, the more heads up you can, and then we'll either send it to your home or we'll drop it off at the hospital and then you take it home. That's your baby's first gift.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty nice of you. So people who heard the last episode that we did, I don't know, a couple years ago now, they ordered the Jasper after the show. A lot of people did. And they said that it was back ordered, which, I'll pat myself on the back. Maybe we ended up selling plenty of Jaspers.
You did.
Did you end up shifting your manufacturing? I mean, this is a little inside baseball. I don't know how much people care, but I'm curious because manufacturing stuff is a huge pain. You have tariffs now. Like, how's that all shifted?
It's been a 2.5 year process to add a second factory. It's just not very responsible business to have one factory, especially when people are trusting you to have that filter there every 6 months. So we have added redundancy to our manufacturing, and we're trying to build a factory in Texas. It is so hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard to manufacture here, from the cost of the land. And you just think about, like, when you think about it, you just imagine like the labor, and then you're like, wait, no, the land is way more expensive.
Right.
Like when you look at a commercial lease for a building, it's like 50 to 60,000 a month. Then you're like, in China, it's 5,000. So you don't realize it's the real estate. Then it's the cost to build the building. Then it's the electrical cost. So it's not just like the labor and can we get steel and paying people more money. It's the whole thing that makes it nearly impossible.
There's during COVID, a guy also from Texas who's a friend of a mutual friend of ours. He wanted to make masks domestically, and he was like pulling out all the stops. Like, how do we do this? How do we get the material? I need this. So I was helping him source special kinds of fabric for these masks. And one of the ways that he got stuck was it's very, very expensive to buy machines, import machines, and put them on enough land to make it worthwhile in the United States. Even in Texas, where it's like, hey, we're not California. We don't have all these dumb rules and regulations that are stopping business. It's like, it's still 10 times the price.
It's so hard. And in China, they have these companies that do basically like third-party skilled manufacturing folks.
Yeah.
So you can call and have 5,000 people show up who know how to do assembly. We don't have that. We have that for like construction, kind of like temp workers and stuff, but not so much for manufacturing.
Wow.
So they're just so well built, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because like every bone in our bodies want to make the product here.
Yeah.
But it is very, very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we will be able to. We will be able to do it. It's probably going to take us about 2 years to manufacture in Texas. We will be able to do it. Also, America only can make 20% of the steel that we need as a country.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So even if all the American steel we
Where
have,
do we get it? Canada?
like Turkey and like a bunch of different countries.
I figured we bought it from Canada. Yikes.
No, it's coming from all over, but America can only produce 20% of the steel that we need in the country. And it takes 25 years to set up more steel production.
That sounds like a national security issue.
It's not good.
Yeah, yikes! Especially like when you put it, China can have 5,000 people show up overnight and assemble things, and we can't do that here. And also, we don't have steel. I mean, I don't know. Somebody email me about this and make me feel better, or worse, and we'll do a show on it. Before I let you go, you're building a school. That's kind of a departure from clean air, or is it? I don't know.
No, it's not.
Okay.
So my daughter Aria, she's 5 now. When she first started going to school, she was 2.5, and when she started. First week, she comes home, boogers, stuffy nose, cough, sick.
Yeah.
She got better for like 2 days, sick again. Then all of us were sick constantly. Like, what's going on here? She wasn't in bubble wrap. So basically the doctor, reading online, talking to doctors, like, it's totally normal.
Yeah.
Till your child's like 7, they have to get every infection and build up their immune system. I'm like, I don't understand, because she was on planes and we were at hotels and we were traveling. Like,
she didn't get sick there.
She's been exposed to a lot of people. Why schools? You know, I'm picking her up from school and I'm like, literally, if you designed a classroom to make kids as sick as possible, they got like a perfect grade. So think about the way the school is built. First of all, 2 Glade plugins. I would unplug it every single day when I would pick her up, and I would like hide it, and every day it would be replugged in. They have toilets in the class with no ventilation. So there's 2 toilets with a diaper pail, no window, no fans, windows that don't open, carpets that don't get cleaned, horrible fluorescent lighting, harsh chemicals and cleaning products that they're using after hours. So we switched Aria's school, and we gave the school Jaspers for every classroom. And instantly, Aria stopped getting sick. What a surprise. Because like kids are gross.
They are really
boogers
gross.
And poops and breathing and coughing. They get each other sick all the time. So I started reading more and more into this, and there was a study done in Finland where they put air purifiers in 50% of the classrooms, and absentee rates in teachers and students dropped by 30%. So they put air purifiers in half the classes that were cleaning the air, absentee rates dropped by 30%. So the school is called Kindling Academy. We purchased the school in our neighborhood in Austin, and the whole purpose of the school is we're going to try to reduce absentee rates by 50% by creating the healthiest school in America. So what are we doing? Jaspers in every class, whole building water filtration. We're getting lighting systems that actually match the circadian rhythm of the sun. So throughout the day, the frequency of the lights will change. And if it's a cloudy day or a sunny day.
Like on your iPhone.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
But like it will match the weather. So if it's a sunny day versus the cloudy day, the frequency of the lighting will match the sun that day.
That's kind of cool.
The class.
What does that do again?
Well, it's just unnatural for your body to go outside and then come inside to this very artificially lit environment. Like your body's like tripping out, doesn't know what to do.
I wonder if I can do. These are all like Philips Hue bulbs. You can make them any color you want. I wonder how
I would recommend
how to do that.
As a low hanging fruit, I would set them up to go red in the evening.
They do. Yeah, they already do that. They go red and they get really dim.
So that's like a pretty good.
They go orange and then they go red or something like that. Yeah.
So the idea is public schools are funded on attendance. That's why they have all these truancy laws. So you can't miss more than 2 weeks of public school, or they like do hearings and you get in trouble and all that, because that's how they're funded. So our thought process is if we can reduce absentee rates by 30, 40, 50%, it becomes financially aligned for the public schools to create healthier buildings.
I see. Wow, that's smart.
So you had the combination of like, and we were trying to find a good school for our kids, and they were either like awesome and outdoor and kind of like nature hippie schools.
Yeah, we got one of those.
But like they wouldn't teach them to read.
Yeah, you can't do math, but you can climb trees. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or it was completely the other side where it's like they're teaching them to be these little baby geniuses and they don't get to go outside at all.
Right.
I'm like, it's not that much to ask for both. And like kids should be excited. Like kids love kids. Why don't they love school? School should be fun. So we're like, how do we take a school where they're mostly outside, and we're going to build screened-in porches around the whole school so they can kind of have that indoor-outdoor fresh air environment. So basically pay teachers well, make really healthy environments, track the attendance, track the sick rates, and inspire people to try to do the same.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I thought about, I never really thought about schools being super unhealthy, and also that you could make it financially, you could basically you can make it profitable, or at least financially aligned for them to have the right kind of lighting, right kind of water, right kind of air.
Yeah. So we're going to, and by the way, this is another thing. Right now, we're only doing it in Texas because we got overwhelmed on the last few podcasts.
Yeah.
But any school in Texas, if your kids are in private schools, message us and we will donate Jaspers to every class in your kid's school.
Nice.
We can only do it with private schools because public schools are a pain in the ass to deal with.
Because you need like 16 lawyers to clear having a device in the classroom.
But if your kid's in a school, or if you're a teacher or principal yourself and you want clean air in your school, hit us up. We got the babies, we got the kids.
What if it's a school in California, but the person's kids it's your friend's kids?
Then we got you. No problem.
Because I was thinking, I don't know how clean the air is where my kids go to school, but I'm going to assume it's bad.
It's bad for sure.
Default. Yeah, well, they'll be thrilled to have these devices in there, and you set it on record, so we're going to get it.
No,
they'll be thrilled with me for hauling a bunch of those things. I think they'll be really
I got you. No
Thank
problem.
you, man. Mike, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it's one of those topics that I just didn't think I would care about until you realize it affects your sleep, it affects your health, it affects your muscle growth, it affects your cognition, it affects for me, I know everyone says this, but I'm like actually ADHD, and it's hard enough for me to focus. Having low oxygen content or smells bugging me is like the last. I just don't need more distractions. So once you find out that air is kind of connected to like every aspect of your performance,
I had this recent insight that was, I think the reason that people don't pay attention to air is because it's free.
Yeah.
So like food, you get really hungry and then you have to go buy it. Like you physically have to, you get thirsty, you have to go get it. But air is so abundant and free that you're not really like thinking about the quality of it and how it impacts you, and then it's not all the same. So once we got aware of better food and better water, we started to take action. Also,
though, with water, you taste it and you go, yuck, something's not right. But unless you, like you said before with mold, unless it's like, holy crap, what's wrong with your home?
Yeah.
It just smells mostly like nothing, or it smells the same equal bad for years at a time, and you just ignore it.
So, the interesting thing about this timing is, last time I was on the podcast was about 5 or 6 weeks before Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And we were back ordered 2 months.
Yeah, whoops.
Yeah.
On Black Friday.
No, dude, it's awesome. Code Jordan was a big hit.
Yeah.
This time, no Code Jordan, guys, because it's already Black Friday right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think based on the time that this episode comes out, for about one more week, it's $400 off on Jasper. So Jasper is normally $11.99, and right now it's $7.99.
Mm-hmm.
After Black Friday season, though, if you use Code Jordan, like let's say you're listening to this episode weeks or months later, Code Jordan will forever be $200 off.
Nice.
So that will never go away. But right now happened to be the cheapest time that Jasper will ever be. We basically don't ever do sales except for the week of Black Friday, and that is right now. So Jaspers are $400 off right now for about one more week. So we might be sold out by the time you heard this, but if we are, it'll be a few weeks or so. And I firmly believe that cleaning up the air quality in your home is by far the lowest effort. You don't have to take a sauna every day. You don't have to journal. You don't have to go to the gym. Like do those things too.
You don't have to meditate. You don't have to cold plunge. You just plug this thing in the corner and done.
Very few things are so good for your health and your energy and your sleep that don't take willpower every single day. That's why, me too, my willpower is not great. This is one thing I do. So the website is jaspr.co. And if you really do like using Code Jordan, throw it in there. Maybe it will save you a couple extra bucks. We'll see.
Yeah, nice. We'll link to it in the show notes. Normally, I don't allow people to pitch like that, but whatever. I was going to do it for you.
It's Black Friday.
It's right. It's Black Friday. Pay those bills, Mike. Pay those bills. Thanks for coming in, man.
All right.